Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So the last few lessons we have graphed equations using t-charts and plotting some points. But before we begin, go ahead and complete your warm-up, hit pause, and turn it back on when you're done. All right everybody, welcome back. So yes, these are proportional. Remember, it needs to go through the origin. This one is not, again, does not go through the origin. Also, no and yes. But I want to take a look at this graph real quick. As you recall, this right here is the y-axis, and this here is the x. Now, if I look, this crosses the y-axis at 0, I believe that's, let's see, 35. And this right here, it looks like this crosses the x-axis at 7, 0. This is right here is what we call the X-intercept. It's where it crosses the x-axis. Notice that x has a value and our y value for y is 0. Now here, this one crosses the y-axis, so it's called the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so my x value is 0, and it tells me it crosses the y at 35. What we're going to do today is look at these intercepts. So our key idea today are intercepts. So the x-intercept of a line is in the x coordinate of a point that crosses the x-axis. Notice x value, my y value here is 0. So that's when y is 0. That means I'm not going to go up or down on the y-axis. I'm only going to stick on the x. So my y-intercept is kind of the same thing there, except we're dealing with the y coordinate. So when it crosses the y-axis, it occurs when x equals 0. So here, my x is 0 because I'm not going up or down, or I'm going up, which means I'm not going left or right. So x is 0, so I'm not going to go left or right, and I'm just going up to 35. So if I take a look, here's my y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis, my x-intercept where it crosses the x-intercept. So what does that look like? So this is actually called slope-intercept form. And the reason we're going to take a look here at slope-intercept form, where you're going to use a slope and the intercept to graph. So it looks like y equals mx plus b. Now remember, this here is slope. So this right here is our slope. And b we're going to talk about in just a second. So we call this the slope-intercept form. Well, if this is slope, this is going to be our intercept here. So the slope we know is m, and now that b, that's the y-intercept. So that's going to tell us where to graph the line. So if I have y equals mx plus b, this is the slope, and this is where it crosses the y-axis. So we call this the y-intercept. So how can this help us graph? Well, here, this is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. That means it's going to cross the axis at -2. So my m is -4. My b is -2. Be careful here. Now, if you notice, this one here is not in the form of y equals mx plus b, so I need to make sure it's in that form. I always want it to be in the form of y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So y equals 3 halves x plus 5. M is slope, the coefficient. So that's 3 halves. That means we're going to go up 3 over 2. And b, it crosses the y-intercept, or the y-axis at 5. All right, what I would like for you to do is go ahead, hit pause, and try these on your own. All right, so the first one, m is 3, b is -7. Be careful here. Solve for y. M is -2/3, and b is 1. All right, so let's take a look here. So it says graphing a linear equation slope-intercept form. So we've got the equation, y equals -3x plus 3. Our slope is -3, which really means down 3 over 1. And our y-intercept is 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot my y-intercept. This is where it crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to find the y-axis right here. All right, there's my point 3. Then my slope is -3, 1. That means I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. We always want to do at least 3 and draw your line. There is your equation of a line without having to do a t-chart. Now it says identify the x-intercept. So that's where it crosses the x-axis. So right here, my x-intercept, so I went over 1 and up 0. So this here is my x-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis. So let's take a look at this equation now. The cost, y in dollars, of taking a taxi x miles is y equals 2.5x plus 2. So this right here is my y-intercept. Here is my slope. So m equals 2.5. B is my y-intercept, so it's going to cross right here. Now, graphing fractions isn't always the easiest thing, but at least we have a half mark here, so that means I'm going to go up to 1, 2.5, and over 1. So if I go up a half, I can now go up 2, over 1, up 2.5, over 1. So I now have my line right here. Now normally, just like I did up here, I would continue that line all the way through, but since this is a real life application, I can't have negative miles in a taxi cab, although that might be awesome, but I'm not sure what that would look like. Okay, so now it says interpret the y-intercept and the slope. That doesn't mean tell me what it is, it means explain it. So here is the slope, but I didn't interpret. What this means is that is the cost per mile. Y is dollars and X is miles. So the cost per miles is $2.50. B, that's my that's my intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis. What that is telling me is that just for getting in the cab, I gotta pay $2. So the initial cost of my cab, without even going anywhere, is $2. All right, I'd like for you to graph these on your own and identify the x-intercept, and then go ahead and answer question 5, hit pause, and then play when you're done. All right, everybody, let's take a look at what you did here. So slope is 1. Remember, if there's no coefficient in front of that variable, the coefficient is always 1. B is -4, so that means I'm going to reach to the y-axis at -4. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, which means my x-intercept, the line crosses the x-axis at 4, 0. Now here, my slope is -1/2 with a y-intercept of 1. So I'm going to plot my y-intercept first of 1 Go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. It crosses the x-axis right here at this point, which is 2, 0. Now, if I have the equation y equals 2x plus 5, where b is 1.5 and m is 2, remember that's just telling me what it is. I need to interpret it, which is this right here. So my slope means I pay $2 per mile and an initial cost of $1.50. All right, everybody, great job today. Have a fabulous day.